Welcome back to Automation, Light Campaign version 4.1, the car company tycoon game where the rules are made up and the points don't matter anyway. I still call myself Sensei for some reason, as if I know what we're doing, and we, that's me and you if you're watching this video while it's new, are playing as Castle Motors. The car company started on some difficulty or whatever, doesn't matter, focused around selling big boxy off-road cars. If you remember from the last episode, we started selling our portcullis. That's our simple workhorse made out of steel model of truck that's going out of style for $1 billion so that people would stop buying it, but they bought it. Now, I'm going to figure out how we can pay back their pre-orders somehow and cancel construction of that, hopefully without going bankrupt in the process. I might have to cut around as I try a couple things, so bear with me. But I think the first thing I'm going to do is go to the factory manager and add Car Factory 2 to the Barbican, our newish model. And yep, okay, so it's going to start immediately. What's going to happen? We are bankrupt. Yep. So this is my save from before I set the price of the portcullis to $1 billion. It's 1 year earlier, 1977. And I'm just going to go through the same procedure, I think. Or I will as soon as the Barbican finishes engineering. I'll make a facelift immediately, and I'll add a new engine factory to that, and it'll be swell. So just to review, even without cheating, we're turning a nice profit. Ooh, recall, I don't care. More places are starting to ban the sale of leaded fuel. Gasmi is up next. We won't be able to sell leaded fuel there. Fortunately, our new engine, featured in all of our current cars, does not run on leaded fuel. And we are apparently losing, allegedly, money on the Barbican, despite selling it at a good margin. I think actually what that is our loan repayment. We took out a loan just to be safe, in case any weird expenses cropped up, which they did. You have this huge spike on the finances graph where we're paying back pre-orders that we're stacking up. I believe that takes into account the $40 million loan repayment. And with the amount of money in the bank, the fact that we're losing some millions of dollars month over month isn't a big concern. Upcoming technology: advanced 80s safety, basic 70s safety. You unlock the advanced for each decade first, and then the cheaper variants come along later. Luxury cassettes are coming up. Better turbos, which we might make a turbo vehicle just for fun, but most of our engines aren't going to run on turbos. And all-wheel drive. All good things, nothing I need to add to the next version of the Barbican. So I'm going to go ahead and just facelift it now, as an excuse to get that portcullis factory in there, so it stops acting weird. The Mark II, engineered in 1978. Let's see what features are new here. And first off, we're going to re-engineer our engine. The pickup truck I'm starting with here uses the full-size 3.5 liter version of our boxer engine. Like I said before, not my favorite type of engine. I think Automation kind of hates it sometimes. It's good for fitting in certain bodies, but you guys wanted to see it. It's here. It's certainly selling. It's not ruining the car or anything. What have we got? About a full point of octane. We can increase compression by 2 notches if I give it a little cam. Making 5 more horsepower. And I don't think anything else desperately needs to change. We have unlocked multi-point fuel injection, which is a far better technology than single point. But I don't think we're going to jump to it just yet. That's a huge engineering cost. I might even prototype a new engine with it before I added the cars. Ooh, do they want reverse flow mufflers? They don't care for them that much. Our engines can sound loud and old. That's fine. And I'm assuming... yeah, not much excitement for higher revving either. In fact, they like lower revving. Slightly more reliable at 5,400 RPM redline. I always thought that was a little silly, having the redline like that affects the reliability of the engine so much, as the user can kind of still decide not to over-rev their engine, but, you know, it is what it is. Ooh, advanced automatic. That's going to be a must-have for us. Advanced automatic, I believe, yes, represents a modern, computer-controlled automatic gearbox. And it's going to be 1978 computers. So, simultaneously advanced for their time and very, very simplistic. And advanced automatics include a locking torque converter. I think a lot of cars didn't have those until like the 2000s. That's interesting. So we can see the market numbers. They like it a lot more. It's worth the added cost, definitely. Pegging the top speed's kind of a trade-off between some of the markets. But gearing it to 143 looks good. And that means their actual top speed is 115 with a lot of overdrive. Limited slip diffs here. Those will be good if you ever want to make like a muscle car. The time for disc brakes? I'm thinking, what are they like? Yep, they're now really willing to pay for those disc brakes in front and back, possibly. You'll just go for front disc brakes. That's pretty, reasonable for the era. Off-road skid trays still on the bottom of this thing. 2+2s. And I think that radios are finally coming down in price enough. You can see it costs us 2.5 labor hours and $15 to add a radio now. That we can start putting radios in our trucks standard. Oh, and variable power steering, which is maybe too posh for this market, but also something we'll want on our luxury line for sure. There's some fancy new air springs available to us, which, again, we're not going to spring for those. I said spring. So cool, that's our pickup truck. I'm just going to copy the changes over to our SUV and delivery vehicle. Looks like the SUV was already running solid disc brakes up front. That's not a big change for us. Now for the delivery variant, we'll have to retune our 3-liter version of the mill engine. And that's our smaller, much more fuel-efficient version. You can see the cam profile is almost as low as it goes, which means that the engine's tuned to run at low RPM, high torque. We can pretty much just add 1 point of compression to that and maybe call it a day. But of course, it's got to get the advanced automatic in there. I've noticed for all these vehicles, they like them geared just a little shorter with the advanced automatic. And I assume that's some optimal trade-off between getting a little more power and, using up a little bit of the added fuel economy from the advanced automatic compared to the regular automatic. And yes, delivery too is willing to pay for those front disc brakes, making them now standard on all variants. Still no interest in the AM radio. and I have to simply add the existing factory to it. And this will be a good opportunity to expand our engine production as well. We're going to need it. For the medium factory, the automation tooling quality is going to be higher than a large factory. It's a similar cost, and see the efficiency prefers a higher automation because there's some kind of like base or optimal automation based on the factory size. And I'm not even going to read this whole paragraph. You can read that yourself if you have the game. It's complicated. Oh, and recall chance is extraordinarily low. So we can just throw our QA department out the window in exchange for making more cars for cheaper. Once you have experienced factory workers in a wealthy country, your quality just goes through the roof. It says our average build quality in the first year, when our tools are brand new, will be 114, and it'll fall to 107 after 5 years of tooling wear, which is pretty good. That means that these are very well-built vehicles. I'm not planning any real changes to our existing engine factories. But we're definitely going to need more engine factory. Looks like 6 months for engineering the engines themselves. I'll give you time to put these sliders up since I cut corners. But I'm going to also update the throne? What's our nicer car? Yes, the throne. So when I update the engine for the Barbican, because it's shared by the throne, I must also update the throne, and then after that's done, then I will plan the engine factories. So even though our car only just came out about a year ago, the engineering started 7 years ago, and that's how outdated it is. This facelift will be a big chance for us to catch up. And the main change is just throwing that advanced automatic in there. Ooh, the variable hydraulic. Yeah, that'll make this car the one to have. Oh, and our wacky hydropneumatic suspension. We're a Gasmian company. That's, the game's equivalent of America. But that's a very, very French feature to have, the hydro suspension. Oh well, not my problem. As you can see, you never have to care about warnings and suggestions. They can help you if your market score is already bad, but in this case, there's a red flashing warning for wheel spin problems, and if I do almost anything to correct it, they don't like it, for utility. And if I gear it even shorter, which makes it worse, they like it more. Up to this point, anyway. I guess 30% to the critical point. They don't even want whiter tires. Yeah, that's all the suspension tuning I'm going to do for now. And as ever, because these cars are kind of hand-built with the aluminum body, they're staying in a small factory despite the huge demand for them. They get less efficient in larger factories. I could probably put them up in a medium and it wouldn't be too bad, but I'm just going to deal with it this way for now. I can afford to put some more automation. You can see up here the factory efficiency is falling. That gives you diminishing returns, and eventually it just costs more to add automation than it saves you. And ooh, for the throne, it'll take forever to engineer the new driver assists. That is the category which includes variable hydraulic doohickeys. Partly because, yes, I left hydraulic on one of them. They're engineering 2 separate systems. Let's see how it is now. That's a big one that'll catch you. Alright, that brought it down. It's still pretty bad. I'll just have to bring up the pressure and the funding. We can afford to. At 50 months, they'll try to aim for 48 months. Get this thing out. And as is tradition, we're selling it to dealers for double what it costs us to make. So with a target of 48 months engineering, I can go to the Barbican and crank up some sliders. Like reliability, tooling, we're going to make even more cars. Process. This slider is tricky. It reduces number of cars made per month, but saves materials. I don't want to go too high on it because I know our factory is going to be overworked the whole time. But lots of reliability. Cut funding and pressure a little bit. And that's right on the dot, 48 months. Since this is our facelift, the estimate for cost doesn't include the price of building the whole factory in the first place, or at least its initial tooling, so it's a little lower. Now the engine, let's tune the engineering to 48 months. Take off the pressure. Funding's okay where it is, it's actually costing us very little. And that's going to help us make some more engines. But I don't think enough. No, not nearly enough. So we're going to add what I have planned to add for a while. A large engine factory on a huge land plot. So this will be our main engine factory for a long time, hopefully. And let's see, now that I look at the graph, are we making enough engines? Oh yeah, we're making way more than enough engines for that large factory. That'll keep us satisfied for a long time, and intend to have all of our cars use some variant of our main engine here. But wait, one more thing before we sign off on this. And that is, I want a bigger engine. Now, I know the part of the problem was I aimed for 4x4s fitting neatly in here. I'm going to make a fake copy of our engine here, of our car, rather, just to test what engines will fit. This is going to be our secret prototype. It'll help us study that multi-point fuel injection that we like so much. And overhead cam 4 valve. Yes, the highest of techs that our Gasman company can aspire to. And how are we fitting for 4-wheel drive? Fitting great. Cool. Multi-point EFI. Yes, you can see the fuel injector rail. It tells us that this is a truly modern engine. All computer-controlled individual fuel injectors. And it's going to reach a whoppingly unimpressive 8.3 compression. Now, how big can I make this thing? Family capacity, that's what you can't change later, that's what I care about. The rest of the stuff I can usually change. Ooh, width is hitting the limit. So 104mm bore. And we're always going to want to have more stroke than bore in an engine for the sort of stuff we're making. Got 5.3 liters of what I can fit in here. That might be far too big for the throne, I don't know. If I don't use this engine, it's fine later too. But yes, our much bigger boxer engine for the future. 98 bore, 120 stroke. For 99, yeah. That'll make our 5.5 liter massive flagship engine. Which, if I'm very lucky, we can put in every car. It might prove too expensive. But I'm going to start developing it, mainly to get myself the multi-point fuel injection. Then later, I can either make a new engine and have familiarity with the multi-point fuel injection, or I can make a new variant of the engine that'll be fully modernized and have my features I care about. And we're going to go back to the car designer and just remove. We're not making that car. There's our real market numbers. Okay. Let's see. I think maybe because some stuff with the engine changed, I have to go back through, just click yes on a factory. For both factories. Very fun. Very exciting YouTube. And this engine has no factories. And engineering, we're going to put the tooling down. Process down, we can make that up later. Reliability down, it's a prototype. Funding, yeah, who needs money? And pressure down. It'll be done not long after our new variants, so we can consider using it then. The reason I want the pressure extremely low is so we make the most familiarity with our new parts here. So that's our secret engine project. And I'm ready to sign all this off and not tick this box because it'll delay these all by 2 months, which I don't want to happen. Let's see, loan coverage, total cost, 1.2, 50% loan again. That's just our safety net in case something goes wacky, like we have to pay back a lot of pre-orders. Sign those off. And start that with no loan. 58 million, that's a drop in the bucket for us. That's a month of profits. And we have no name, it's just the Family 1 engine. We'll come up with a name later. Alright, now we are in motion. 4 years, and we'll have our improvements out. Oh gosh, and the portcullis is going to still keep stacking up pre-orders for 4 years till that tooling happens. Not a fan of that, but we'll just pay back that couple billion when we have to. And leaded fuel bans are going final in Havasia and Verunia. You can see that we're actually operating pretty close to spending all of our money, which is fine with me. It means we have to pay a lot of taxes. And a lot of that's going towards loan repayment too. So seeing a small green number is just fine. We're going to have our loan fully repaid before our new facelift is done here. And that's the loan that we took out to build our large factory for the Barbican. Now at some point here, I'm going to have to plan out our new model, aren't I? Let me take a look at the comments, see what suggestions I had. Let's see, so there's demand for a turbocharged sports RV. I mean, I guess we can see what that looks like on the market screen. It'll be broken as hell. We'll see what we make. First off, we're just going to go ahead. I'm going to make sure that these new updates sell well, and that we haven't gone bankrupt from paying back our portcullis pre-orders at that point. Yeah, sadly, I probably should have just added that factory earlier instead of putting it into the facelift, because that does it at the end of the facelift, which makes sense normally. I just wanted that factory shut down. 31 reputation, that's a new high for us. We're getting a real, reputation, I guess you could say. And again, that's the stat based on the reliability of our vehicles compared to the market average. Our vehicles are simplistic, and I've cranked up the reliability slider engineering, so we're doing good on both counts. Oh. Our cash balance went into the negative. Well, I wasn't paying attention. Okay. So I should have taken out a full loan. This is going to be... Oh, not too bad. That was the throne for everything that had pre-orders just went in. I had to pay back the pre-orders. And it cost us billions. And we took out a loan for billions, which we're having to pay back now. That's going to suck, but it won't bankrupt us, I don't think. Yes, and on the first month of selling our new 1978 engineered models of the Barbican throne, we're making a profit. Not a lot of a profit, but most of it's going to pay back our loans, which is just fine. And in fact, it is now the 1980s. I believe that makes it legally the future. Upcoming, we have variable valve timing, which is a crazy Japanese technology that we won't be messing with. And carbon fiber chassis. V10 engines coming up. Those we might... well, no, we're not going that direction. We're using boxers. And cassette players getting cheaper. It looks like I missed ABS coming out. We have traction control and ABS unlocking. I guess it makes it already time for a new model, huh? So, suggestions I saw involve the van body and the ridiculous RV body. And we'll also have unlocked a lot of new bodies now. We could really branch out and start targeting other markets if we want to. But I'm going to look at something in... Consider family utility as a target demographic. I want to make a van, maybe. Filter by body type, no sedans. No wagons, no hatchbacks, no coupes. So what do we have? Yes, the van, quote-unquote, version of the every single sedan body. So you can sell your hatchbacks as delivery cars. Which, sure. But I don't feel like you should need to make a separate variant. Oh, whatever. We've got, ooh, yes. This guy. The very ugly van that I think might look familiar to a lot of people. We've got our Ute variants of sedans going on. A fire truck mod body. I'm gonna stay away from that brokenness. What else is here? Oh, 1985 SUV pickup. That looks nice. And there's a gigantic 3.5 meter wheelbase version. 1985 van looks nice. We've got the tiny SUV for off-road markets. And even tinier. This is the van people were talking about in the comments. We could actually see ahead before. And let's just investigate the viability on the market of this stupid thing, maybe. So this is completely broken and unfair. It's going to either be terrible or great on the markets. The AI doesn't use cars like this. It's far too large for automation to handle properly. Let's suppose we built this sucker with steel ladder frame, the heaviest probable configuration. Solid axles. This counts, by the way, as a pickup truck and not a people mover or SUV, but it's not going to sell the markets you think might kind of cross over in automation with a camper like this. Let's see. Nothing fits. It has a teeny tiny engine bay. That's cool. It has a narrow engine bay. Let's suppose we were to resurrect the drawbridge engine for this thing. Which I don't want to do. Make a rear-wheel drive. Big... Oh gosh, the wheel size. Needs to be bigger. Oh no, you can't put very big wheels on this. 13-inch wheels? Oh, that limits me to such small brakes. No, I can tell you right away this isn't going to work out too nice. No, sir. Oh, fuel availability is 0%. I can't even see a market score until I update that stupid engine I'm pretending to use. Hang on. Our hypothetical new updated engine will use fuel injection. Okay, all that just to see a market score on this very unlikely vehicle, which is mediocre at best, and in just random markets. Passenger fleet likes it. I think they care about the space inside a lot. Yeah, no, I'm sorry guys, we are not manufacturing this, no sir. Now what's a more realistic option? If we want to branch out, I know there's, some people want to see a crazy muscle variant. And we also maybe want to see a minivan. So I might consider, I don't know, maybe picking an existing vehicle and trying to make our crazy muscle variant in that. But, let's consider a van. I'm going to go with this ghastly wedge body because it is considered futuristic. Chassis type's going to be a tricky one on this. Ladder frames are tradition, but passenger cars, anything that's not like a work truck, kind of hates ladder frame. It's bad for safety, bad for comfort, bad for handling. I don't really know what's going to work out on this. I don't know how we're going to fit an engine in this. I don't even know which way I'm going to point it. Let's assume longitudinal for now. With, I don't know, Really comfortable double wishbone suspension? Just as a test. Now, what fits? Everything fits. We could put the 5.5 liter in this sucker if we wanted to. But I'm gonna assume a realistic version and kind of price it out with the smallest engine in here. We have the option of making this an all-wheel drive vehicle, which should be pretty family utility. Makes it very comfortable, easy to drive, gets over terrain. I have no idea where I'm aiming with this thing. Manual locker? Yeah, I put them in every car, whether or not they need them. Semi-clad under tray. I don't think displays in the vehicle anyway. But it would cover up some of this lumpy stuff for better gas mileage, better aerodynamics. And I think the optimal seat configuration is 2 seats all the way. That gives you high comfort, but a lot of passengers. Automation does not like 3 seats very much at all. Besides, they're horribly uncomfortable. That's something that people always argue about in the Discord, is that the 3-seater, right, is, way less comfortable than the 2-seater. And of course, in practice, if you have 3 people sat in there, it is less comfortable, right? You're really packed in most of the time in a 3-seater bench. But when there's not someone in the middle seat, it's not any less comfortable than a 2-seater. It's the same. But automation has to kind of call it in the middle and say there will be someone right in the middle seat half the time, so it's kind of uncomfortable. And the markets just hate it. I think they're kind of underpowered. Let's say standard interior with a cassette player. And the nice power steering, analog brakes, everything makes the car easy to drive. We'll want in a minivan. And oh, we are off to a good start. Without any proper tuning, we have a score of 173 in Family Utility. I think this is going to be our new model. And overlap in the Family Utility Premium. And that's with a body type penalty, because they get a small penalty for minivans. That's due to change. In an upcoming update, there's going to be like a matrix of penalties, so that bodies that are similar don't have as big a penalty. And certain markets also don't care as much. So like premium markets are very specific about what kind of car it is. Family Utility will take almost anything that meets the requirements they have. So we're off to a start here. It's high engineering. It's got the complicated suspension. I am going to want to simplify something in here. Make this car not so horribly expensive. So, semi-trailing arm. They don't like that as much, of course. Solid axle they really don't like. It's a tricky one. See, like, I need to save like 30 months. Even a drastic change like changing the suspension type only saves me 5 months of engineering time. Going to monocoque unibody. They absolutely love that. See, it's a tricky decision. The other thing is, suppose I take this car and make it have, like, an 8-year engineering time, so it's going to be done in 1990. Then any car that shares the engine won't be able to use the updated engine until blah-de-blah time, and then I need to have it line up. It becomes a huge hassle. I can save quite a lot of cost on the car and some engineering time, making it front-wheel drive, and that is longitudinal front-wheel drive, with the engine out in front of the axle and the wacky T-shaped transaxle thing, kind of like a reversed rear-engine car. Unfortunately, in automation, you can't put the front engine behind the front axle for a front-wheel drive like a traction Avant. That's something I've always wanted, but it's not very in flavor for our company, but a front-wheel drive van, it can make some sense. It saves us a lot of money compared to all-wheel drive. I like the image of an all-wheel drive car, but I think for the engineering and everything, that's what they want right now. I even want to get rid of the manual locker. I feel like I have to keep that on there just as a tradition. I always lock in the wheel hubs on a Castle Motors car. This can be the culprit in terms of engineering time. The engine bay fill factor. I have some warnings running close to the sides of the engine bay here. In my case, just barely though. If I were to put the 5.5 liter engine in here, we might be seeing like an 18-month engine bay fill factor, which is pretty bad. Ooh, I like it even more with a nicer interior. Premium seats, premium 8-track. Yeah, from the mid-84 we have electrically adjustable things. That means this comes with a power window option. Take a downgrade to regular hydraulics. You know what? I can lose the ABS. That's a full year of engineering right there. It's super complicated to engineer. We'll keep our cars simple. And I think that'll do for engineering on this thing. Or, well, for options. I have some more fine-tuning to do. I changed the camber a good bit. You can see that the tire surface cost multiplier goes to its lowest value, 0.85. That's pretty important for any utility or cheap use-oriented vehicle. They care about that a lot. So yeah, there it is. I'll have to name this thing. But yeah, that's a family car from Castle Motors. It is futuristic for the 80s. It's front-wheel drive with your power windows and everything, but still using some Castle Motors quirks. It's got a linear engine instead of a transverse, which is, normal for front-wheel drive, and our boxer in here. We've got a ladder frame. It's kind of built like a truck, but it looks like something people will want. I just gotta build a factory for it. I'm sure it'll sell. And yes, we get lots of plastic going on. The trim, that's great. Gotta love it. I usually do a lot of visual customization in campaign, but I feel like this just needs some plastic hubcap wheels selected. Yes, that's perfect. Now, it's not very apt for this, but our Serbian friend in the comments suggests for the next car the Kalemegdan, which roughly translates to battle fortress in Turkish, with Serbia having been part of Turkey until I don't know when. In fact, I was rather surprised recently to hear that Serbia, the country, was much younger than I was. I don't know my history very well, I guess. Considering that the Barbican's selling just fine, I think I'll make a new factory for this. At a somewhat risky cost of many billions of dollars. And an engineering time of... we can get her done in 5 years. And I'm aiming at a price of like $17,000 for this car, which if I look at the budget of family utility, that's a little high for them. It's not average, but considering the market awareness I have there, the demographic sizes, yeah, I think I can sell my 30,000 cars at that price. And that does just mean there'll be a 5-year hold on making any changes to the existing motor I have. Oh, wow, my credit rating's in the tank. They won't give me a loan for the whole thing. I'll just take the loan they'll give me. And I think that can wrap it up for this episode. We've got our new van. Next time, we will see how it pans out. I think I can just let the Barbican throne get a little old while that's in engineering, and maybe we can replace them going into the 90s. I'll have to take another look at the bodies when we get closer to 1987, but that'll be coming out. It'll be our car for the 80s, or late 80s anyway. That's us expanding into new markets, as we're Barbican throwing our traditional vehicles still tend to sell great. Hopefully we'll be in good financial places then, paying for lots of factories, paying for lots of loans, but it'll all be worth it, I hope. Oh, and just closing out here, our monthly sales. Not much has changed here. We're hitting the fun car market just a little bit, which is normally like your hot hatchbacks. That's a little new for us. As usual, we have some family sport, because we have big engines, I guess. Some muscle and pony. I think maybe we really should make a dedicated muscle car. We've got a big enough engine for it now. We just need to pick the right body. I think it'd be appropriate for us to maybe make a muscle pickup. And as ever, the vast majority of our sales are to the count 'em, three different delivery segments. I honestly think these could be rolled into just light delivery and heavy delivery, in my opinion. Some heavy util, a lot of regular utility, and despite the fact that our cars are pretty much built well towards it, not a ton of utility sport, premium, and luxury. So maybe that's our two new big markets to expand into next time. We can make a vehicle, or two vehicles, to hit muscle and sport utility, and this off-road premium, which will probably overlap too. It's a good amount of regular off-road, but not a lot of off-road premium. So let me know what you want to see, what we should name it. And I think you've already seen the bodies that we've unlocked so far. We'll unlock more as we go into the next episode, but yeah, let me know in the comments what sort of stuff we should build here.